Hey everybody.
Still have my hand like that. Hey everybody.
Today we have bagels and some talk.
Welcome to another video. We're gonna be doing some bagel talk. Some chatting over bagels.
Yes.
Basically, we're gonna be talking about stuff while eating bagels.
Yeah.
It just happened to cross over, so. Today we're gonna be talking about 5 things that we learned in our first year of marriage. A few weeks ago, we were celebrating our 1-year anniversary, and so, thought it'd be fitting to actually do a sit down and talk video for once instead of a vlog.
It's different for every relationship, I think, but there are some certain general things that I think can apply to everyone. We got married when we were pretty young, so these things are kind of what we felt like were important and what we learned from others who are older who have been married. Should we get into it?
Yeah, and also one more thing is that since we were getting married young, we were 21 when we got engaged, I think. We knew that we didn't know as much as obviously people who have been married for a long time, and so nothing really happened, I think, that we didn't expect in our first year of marriage. We knew that the hard stuff was gonna come, we knew this and that, and so not that we were fully prepared, but we did try to prepare ourselves as much as we could. That being said, I think the things that we learned might be, like he said, different from other people, but these are just kind of general things that we felt like were really important to know in our first year of marriage, and things we're still kind of learning. So, yeah.
First thing, make your selfishness the top issue. So by make your selfishness is, she would think to herself, my selfishness is the biggest issue. And I would think to myself, my selfishness is the biggest issue. I think this is from the book, The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. And it basically kind of talks about when both of us, each person in the relationship, when they do this, when they personally stick to the idea that every fight or every hardship or everything that you may have conflict in within the relationship, if you make it so that each individual thinks that it's their own selfishness that they need to always be considerate of first and foremost, if both of you guys do that, then it'll be a lot easier to kind of first engage in conflict in a very loving way, and also kind of just dying to yourself and giving certain things up for the other person becomes a lot easier. Everything we'll say today is kind of things that we have, we still continue to struggle with. So it's it takes time. We're only in the first year or second year of marriage.
Yeah, and I think this is something that's pretty specific to Christian marriages, because I think it's very opposite of what people secular marriages are a little bit different in this way, I think, because I've seen so much of people going into marriage wanting to get what they deserve, and I think God does want the best for us, and he wants us to have a loving husband. But when we only focus on are we getting what we deserve, are we getting what's gonna make us happy, if it's only about us, then that's kind of an issue. So if you're only focusing on what you feel like you deserve and what you want, then obviously you're gonna see all these things in your partner that you feel aren't right, and if you guys are both just clashing in that, then obviously things are gonna be a lot harder. But if you're both able to kind of look inward and be actually, I think this problem is because of I'm feeling this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, then it's just easier to talk about it, and you feel like you can understand each other in that way. But you kind of had to be on the same page with that.
Yeah, and that's also something that the book talks about. Our society has turned into this kind of me mentality, me, myself, and I. What's best for me? What's good for me? What do I believe in? And if that's kind of the case, it's really hard to have a healthy marriage. And that's, I mean, from what we've learned and from what we believe marriage was made for, if you get married because like you marry this person because this person is going to, in your mind, fulfill what you expected if you were to get married growing up, like that's what you expected, it's just not gonna work. That's not what marriage is. It's about the opposite. It's kind of this like fighting against your own expectations of what you thought it would be, just fighting against like your personal ambitions. This is giving things up and sacrificing. That's what marriage is about, and that's when it becomes really beautiful.
And I feel like it seems really counterintuitive that the way that you're gonna make it work is by focusing on what the other person needs. Like that's how you're gonna be happy. It seems counterintuitive, but really like you find somehow it's like just magically works so much better when you're focusing on like just loving your partner and like doing what you feel like is best for them and thinking about that all the time. And yeah, to sum that up, it's best when you find yourself in like an issue or an argument to assume that your own selfishness is the main issue. And if you both are doing that, then it makes something really beautiful happen. You'd be surprised. We've seen this happen. Obviously, sometimes we could be better again, but we've seen this work well.
Most of the time, it could be better. But, yeah.
But it just goes back to, having pride, and we don't want to be selfish. We don't want to be a bad person, but it humbles you in the end. It makes you a better person for each other. So the second thing is being patient and learning how to communicate with each other. So this is something that like we've noticed of where we're fighting over the same things. I remember like one time, I don't know if you remember this, but we were fighting about something that we fought over a million times, and he was just saying like, I don't really think we're getting better at communicating because we keep fighting over this thing. And I think
mic drop.
My thing was, no, I don't think that's true. I think that us continuing to fight over something, I'm not saying I'm always right, what you said was wrong, but I do think that there's a certain patience that you have, like an ongoing patience, that it's okay as long as you guys know what you're supposed to be doing to be better at communicating. Just in general, like learning to figure out how is best to communicate with each other. It is gonna take time. Like we're still fighting over the same things, but us being able to expect that we're gonna continue to learn and we're gonna continue to like get better at it and have the conversations we need to have, it helps us have a better outlook regarding the things that we keep fighting over. Like
we said, if you're going to get married in general, or if you're just, especially if you're younger, it's always safe to assume, not like assume the worst, but like, have a healthy understanding that these things will take time, have a healthy understanding that things will, like, it's like a lifelong journey. Yeah, so like just be patient in learning how to communicate. Be patient in learning how you yourself communicate, like the next thing that we're going to talk about is kind of like that, but in that topic. But yeah, it'll take time for you guys to understand why you're even fighting about the same thing over and over again. So it's gonna take time, and it's okay. Don't get divorced over that. Yeah, you have to be patient with yourself and with the other person. You need a lot of patience because you want to have the will to keep going. And obviously, again, we're only in our second year of marriage, so that's what we're going into this marriage. That's the mentality that we have going into these next years of marriage. So it's not like we know for sure, but I think it's for us, at least for our first year of marriage, it's been really helpful and healthy to have these kind of thoughts going in and going forward. Yeah. Next, you learn about the other person during marriage, but you learn more about yourself probably. Is that? Yeah. Arguably, that's what it was like for us. Yeah. like I said before, when we argue and things like that, a lot of it comes from your own stuff, you know? Like we all have stuff that we grew up with from our childhood or from like high school or whatever. We have insecurities, we have these fears, we have all these things. And so it's important for you to understand also that you have stuff going on. Like, especially for those of you who think you don't, like you got it figured out, please just,
it's even worse.
Just that's the worst. Like, don't be like that. I don't care how much you got figured out. Like you might have a lot of your shiz figured out, but just the fact that you have that mentality will make it harder and will make it worse. Always have the mentality that you have stuff to figure out. You have things going on in your heart, your head, your just like habits. You have stuff that needs to be figured out, and they will come out when you get married. That's what happens to us. That's what all these older people, our mentors and stuff, have advised us about. That's kind of the, you know, I was talking to my friend who was in a relationship and stuff, and we would just talk about certain things. And what I would say to him was that, like, the whole point of it is for you to kind of be unraveled. Fights are crucial because, like, it's important for the marriage to work. Like, you have to be unraveled yourself. You know, you have to figure out that there's these layers about yourself that you didn't know were there. And the more you uncover those layers, the more it becomes beautiful to love and be loved.
That was well said.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think like people focus so much on the fact that you'll learn so much about the person you marry, and what if you don't like it, and all that type of stuff.
You won't like it.
You won't like it.
You won't.
Something it said in the book too was like, if you're gonna be married for like decades to come, like that person is gonna change. So you, like, no matter what age you get married, like you're gonna learn more about this person, and they're gonna change, and you're not gonna like it. Like that stuff doesn't matter nearly as much as learning about your own brokenness and how it causes you to have a barrier in loving however that person might change. You learn like your strengths, your weaknesses, and like ways that you might be different from the person that you marry. And like, I think something for us was we grew up super differently. And so like we had these like preconceived ideas about how things should be done and stuff like that. We learned that about ourselves, like in marriage. I don't think, sorry, there's a siren. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't think we would have learned that about ourselves. At least it's not the vroom vroom.
Oh my
There's
God.
these cars that, I don't know if they're cars or
I think they're
motorcycles.
motorcycles. There's like these motorcycles at night.
Oh, they're so loud.
And they're just like
I really want to call the cops on
the
them,
worst.
but they'd be gone by the time the cops got there. Expect to learn a lot about yourself, and that's like a beautiful part of it, but it's also a hard part of it. You might think, you know, your partner's just being crazy, but really like it's a really beautiful and very necessary thing for you guys to like point out stuff about each other so that we can learn more about ourselves and the way God made us.
Next is friends. Well, thinking about it now, it might be a little bit specific to like us, where we're at, especially if you're getting married young. Like, what we found is that it's kind of hard to find people to be friends with because the maturity level kind of changes. People our age usually are like going out, like partying, drinking, or dating, but we don't do that stuff, you know? We're just like, we're at home. We have different problems than they do. We have different conflicts than they do. But it's important to have friends and to like hold on to those friends. Mm-hmm. It's important to look for friends, you know? One of our mentors said that, you know, if you find a friend, you should really hold on to them because the older you get, the harder it is to find friends. I guess this isn't really marriage stuff. This might be just like in general. You should hold on to those friends.
And that's not to say like that we can't have friends that are different from us and stuff. Our only friends aren't going to be like married people. But it is important, like when you're getting married and you're trying to love each other well and follow Jesus well, that you have people who like understand you, who are similar to you. Like you can have other friends also who are single and partying, like we have friends, but but it's important that you have someone to kind of like do life with, and we can share these things that are going on, and people who are like supporting us and stuff like that. We have friends who are supportive and like wonderful, and they like love our marriage, and they're just like really awesome and mature, but obviously still there's a different like lifestyle, and it becomes like a little bit different. If you have someone who, or have like friends who like understand and are supportive, and you know that they're gonna like be supportive and willing to like understand when things change, like hold on to them for sure, while also kind of being on the lookout to find friends who are in the same boat as you, people who might be like looking to get married or things like that. But just expect friendships to change, and be open about that, I think, with your friendships. That comes to, excuse me. All right, that takes us to,
oh my gosh.
Finally, we're at the end with number 5, which is that love is a choice. Who knew? Love is a choice. You choose who you love. This is something that we like had to hold closely, or we do hold closely, but it's been really important in our first year of marriage, is like there are times when you just don't feel like loving the other person. And I'm sure that when we get older, like we're gonna fall out of love in certain seasons. I think that's okay. But when we got married, we chose to continue to choose to love one another for the rest of our lives. And so that's like a choice that's locked in. We believe that there aren't really like soulmates. Like I think we both believe that you can choose who you decide to marry. You can choose who you decide to love. I think you could put 2 people together who are totally incompatible, but if they're choosing to love each other and choosing to do everything to love each other better, like I think it can work, and it could be a healthy and beautiful marriage. That seems like crazy. Like sometimes I'll say that to people and they just think that's crazy.
Obviously it might be harder for them.
Right.
Like, you know, we're not saying go out and just choose the hardest person that you could ever marry, but
in the hardest times that we've had in our first year, and there's probably even harder things to come, but that there is a choice, and you can feel it in the moment. Like there's a choice. I can choose my own selfishness, or I can choose to love this person. I can choose how I feel, which is always wavering and lingering, but I'm gonna choose to love this person, you know what I mean? I would argue that that's the most important thing that we've learned and held on to.
Yeah. One of our friends who's a pastor, and the book maybe, talked about how at some point, like 7 years or so, every relationship, every marriage comes to a point where they're like questioning whether they should be married to this person. The book said that once you get over that hump, then like those are the people that stay married for like 50 years. And those are the people who stay married till they die. And you know, that's not, I mean, obviously we won't know that until we get there, but you know, that's what the people who we look up to say, or have been through, you know, people who've been successfully married for a long time. It's not about like feelings. It's important to know what you feel. Mm-hmm. It's important to process those feelings with God. What you think and what you believe in is more important than what you feel. Most things are a choice. I should choose to love this person and not like freaking lash out or something. I should choose, you know, to see that this person needs me right now, and this person needs me to love them right now, and even if I'm like just frustrated or sad or whatever, like it's a choice, you know. Mm-hmm. And most importantly, like faith is a choice, you know. If you follow it, you can see God do amazing things.
At the end of the day, it comes down to how God calls us to live, you know. Like we're called to like put others above ourselves, and especially in marriage, love like he does for us, and so obviously it's very important. I didn't know how to end that sentence. Oh, okay. So our journey is obviously different than a lot of people. We could make a whole separate video talking about how God loves marriage and how we came to this decision and how we knew that it was the right thing to do. But this is just, you know, the stuff that we've learned that we think maybe could help other people. If you like this type of video, please let us know, because we don't really know what type of videos to make, but we're just kind of living life and sharing it on YouTube. But please like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Do it.
And hope you enjoyed this bagel chat.
What is it saying?
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Oh yeah, catch you on a flippity flip.